In the town of Wawa, I'm getting some gas and admiring all the metal geese. It's a quick stop on my way south down the eastern coast of Lake Superior on the Trans-Canadian Highway. Next to the original Wawa goose, which is still being maintained, I find a stack of rocks in the shape of a human. There's actually a couple of these around the town, and I'm about to find even more of them flanking the highway all the way south to my next destination in Pancake Bay. I know these stacks of rocks to be similar to what's called a cairn. A cairn is a simple, broad term for a stack of rocks made by humans, and they're often erected as landmarks. They've been in use by humans since prehistoric times, and they're some of the oldest human-made structures on Earth. You typically find cairns in barren regions with very few landmarks. You'll find them in places like mountain ranges to assist hikers and climbers, flat plains like the Asian steppe, and in places like Canada, the Arctic tundra. They're also sometimes used for astronomical purposes, in the case of Stonehenge, or for marking the borders between countries. Cairns have been used for land, but what about air and sea? We also have sea marks, used for early naval navigation, or buoys today. And the coat of arms of Kumlinge, Finland, has a sea mark, and it's said that Kumlinge means rocky passage. In the US, we even have concrete arrows that dot the landscape that were used for cargo planes, delivering mail that crossed the continent in the early years of aviation. The Alaskan, Canadian, and Greenlandic Arctic are populated by the Inuit people who've been erecting cairns to navigate the Arctic for thousands of years. The Inuit call a cairn an Inukshuk, Inuk meaning person, Suk meaning substitute. Because the Inuit live above the tree line in the tundra where no trees grow, it can be very difficult to identify where they are. So Inuksuit, the plural form, guide people across the barren landscape. They're used to guide hunters to the migratory routes of animals such as caribou or geese. They're also used to signify burial grounds or places of religious significance. Sometimes they're used as a kind of mailbox where friends and family can store messages, gifts, or even survival equipment. The Inukswit I filmed in Wawa are actually a specific kind of Inukshuk, and they get even more specialized. A cairn or Inukshuk that's in the shape of a person is called an Inukwak. So you have a regular cairn, called an Inukshuk by the Inuit, which put in the shape of a person with two legs is called an Inukwak. One use of the Inukwak I found interesting is how they're put up to kind of guide caribou off of a cliff. If you place them strategically, a herd will see them looming in the barren Arctic landscape and veer to avoid them, meaning you could probably direct where you want them to go. If you come up behind the herd and chase them, they could go off of a cliff, and you got yourself and your community a serious feast on your hands. In 2010, Canada used the Inukwak as the emblem for the Olympics in Toronto, and they become more of a symbol of Canada itself. It's an instance where Native American culture influences the country's image. And you can see these structures outside of airports, and even in places like Wawa, where there were few, if any, Inuit there in the past. Native Americans of Canada have been brandishing it as a symbol of racial identity and unity. After a vote in the early 90s, the Northwest Territories of Canada split in two, birthing the new territory of Nunavut in 1999. It is one of the three territories of Canada, this one sporting an Inukshuk on its flag. The population makeup here is overwhelmingly Inuit. Nunavut is the size of Mexico, but it has less than 40,000 people, which is less than some suburbs near my home in Minneapolis. Fun fact, it's the only subdivision of Canada that cannot be reached by road. The Inukshuk is more than a symbol for Canada, or even natives. It's also an icon of the human spirit of cooperation. It stands for our ability to succeed together, where we would fail if we were alone. The oldest known Inukshuk on Baffin Island is estimated to be up to 4,500 years old. They're humans from the past, still making their mark in assisting their ancestors of the future. It's a symbol of support, a collective mindset, the mentality that efforts of today can create a better future for tomorrow.
So Superior Provincial Park was awesome. You get to see these amazing vistas as you ride along basically a coastal road through somewhat mountainous terrain. It was a good ride, and it was nice and cool and easy, but the entire time it felt like I was either being chased by or I was chasing a storm. Well, right now I am at Pancake Bay Provincial Park. I don't quite know the story why they call it Pancake Bay. One of the attendants at the gatehouse told me that apparently the voyagers had come through here, and the last bit of food that they had from their last departure was pancakes, and this is where they had them, apparently, I guess. But it could be something else. Here's my site, and here's how far away it is from the lake. And this is Lake Superior right here. So I'll be here for 2 nights, but I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is that I have a place to stay. Bad news is the biggest storm yet is probably, well, no, it is on its way here right now from the south. Here's what I'm looking at moving forward. Right now it is 4:30. I got a couple hours, and it's just enough time where I don't think I can go on a hike, but it is enough time for me to sit here and relax, and maybe get some food down that requires some cooking before I hunker down into a tent for a while. I'm so sick of rain. On all 6 days, I think this is day 6, I've been rained on every single day. Moving around Superior. It's remarkable. Getting really tired of it.